Today's episode of Strike Gold, we talk about how to steal creative. I mean, the right way.
We also talk about the fact that if your founder's DNA suck, then your company's gonna suck forever. So quit it now.
And again, how to steal stuff.
And quit.
And steal stuff. Hi, this is Jonathan Kahn and Roy Povarchik, and you're listening to Strike Gold, Episode 3.
Jonathan, I have to say that there's a sound in my ear that is just beautiful now.
It's my voice.
Oh, it's your voice.
If you notice, it's a little more crisp. Crisp
it is
than usual.
crispier and clearer.
Yes, that's right. Roy, why is that?
Well, I think, Jonathan, I don't think, I know, that it's because we're recording here from Rise. They're hosting us to record our episodes and podcasts and stories because they also complain about the echo, and they just fucking record this here because the echo was so bad in the other episodes. So now we're here. Thank you, Rise, for hosting us here, and thank you for lending us this beautiful podcast room, which we're recording the show on.
We are not sellouts. No, this is thing that I remember I was like doing research on like musicians and stuff, and there's always that thing of I'm not a sellout. I'm not a sellout.
We're in episode 3. Like it doesn't matter.
I don't have anything to sell.
Yeah.
This is just my voice and Roy Povarchik sitting with me in a room.
Right. So thank you so much, Rise, for having us. We appreciate it so much. And yeah, so Rise is basically a co-working space for FinTech companies and startups. So if you've noticed, they're just hosting the guys from Techstars outside.
Oh, pretty cool.
Yeah.
I saw they had like a party.
Yeah, because every day is a party when you're a FinTech startup.
Aw, snap.
That's
all right. This is already getting a little weird.
So that's how we like it.
What are we talking about today?
So I still don't know, actually. I did not think this through.
All right, so...
how was your week?
Okay, so I had this really cool thing this week that I went to Shinkar's like founder presentation thing.
Okay.
It was like this cool thing I was invited to, and I got to meet like some startups and some stuff that were there. And I know this sounds really like childish, but this is like, okay, so I go into things being a businessman. I'm a businessman, take myself seriously. And then when I was in there, one of the guys presenting their concept for a business or whatever was this Instagrammer, and he was like talking about how he'd like take pictures of pastries and stuff, and then he actually turned around and he was like, he turned out to be this Instagrammer that I've been following for like 2 years. He's called Deserted in Paris, and he basically takes pictures of his shoes, all these different color shoes with pastries, and he kind of matches them.
Shoes and pastries?
Shoes and pastries. I know it sounds weird, but check him out. He's really, really cool. I was so excited. I Instagram storied it, and then after I Instagram storied it, I was waiting for my wife to say she was jealous, and then I went up to him and I was like, "Can I do a selfie with you?" Which I'm not into. We spoke about this. I'm not into like selfie taking so much. Like I do it, but it's not when it feels forced. Like it was kind of a rape.
So pastry and shoes.
Yeah, no, but it's really crazy. So he's a designer, and he knows how he made like this template of where the shoes need to be and where the thing. It's actually, you'd like this. He was taking pictures of pastries like everyone else does, and he took one picture and it had his shoes in the background. And people liked that picture the most. And he said, you know what if I took that picture and I made it into
it was like a data-driven decision?
Yeah, it was actually really cool. So he turned around and said, what if I made this into a template? And he showed this. It was really funny. He shows like a slide with the shoes sketched and like a pastry, the generic pastry in a hand. And he's like, this is what every picture needs to look like. So then he has it's symmetrical. It's all the pictures look exactly the same. Fancy shoes and cool-looking pastries that kind of match or you were laughing at me.
I'm laughing at a situation because I'm thinking there are more and more kind of cool / business ideas and stuff like that, which you kind of think of them. No, but
he's a book.
No, but when you think of it for a second, if you were an adult. If you were 55 now, or
okay, you're saying
right
like if my dad was here, he says,
I look at it and I say like people used to build like real meaningful businesses. And now this guy, he's basically building a business out of
taking pictures of shoes and pastries. And you know what? He actually goes all around the world and shit and does it. And chefs actually bring him to take pictures.
So that's the crazier thing.
It's crazy, but it's awesome. It's so cool.
Like I kind
of feel like I would love to do something.
I imagine this chef right?
Okay.
And he's talking to his publicist, whatever. He's like 3-star Michelin chef.
Yeah.
And he's like, what are our appointments today? What are we doing today? She's like, oh, there's this kid who likes to take pictures of shoes and pastries. And this guy, he's like 55, he's 60 now, and he's been working his entire life to get the credentials as the most amazing chef in the world.
But he's nothing without this picture, man.
Yeah, and he studied this, right? He studies like in 3 different continents. Anyway, so he's like, around the world. He's like he I don't know. He swam with sharks. He
just to understand
to understand,
feel the texture of the meat.
He just wanted to be the fish so he can cook fish, right? And then he has like this meeting with this like kid. I'm guessing he's young.
Yeah, he's youngish. Yeah.
He was like, "What do you do?" So I take pictures of my shoes next to pastries.
That's right. And that guy just faints right there. He's like, amazing.
And then that chef, like, they go out from the restaurant, right, for like where they had the meeting, and like the chef goes into his like second, third hand Punto, and like the guy with the Instagram like goes into a Mercedes.
Yeah,
like,
that's right. He works his ass off all day, every day to make these pastries and all the stuff,
right.
And the guy with the Instagram account goes and sleeps near the pool. That's how it is.
Life is weird, but I love that because you can really chase your passion and do crazy
No, because
things.
it's even better than that. It means that you can be awesome and successful without really making too much of an effort. No, but I really, honestly, I think it's incredible. I think he's awesome. I was so excited. I did a selfie with him. I sent it to my wife. My wife was super jealous. And that's all I want to do in life, make my wife super jealous.
Did you have like the selfie was like face selfie or shoes selfie?
I actually was very disappointed with myself because only after did I think it would have been way funnier if I would have asked him to put his hands out and put my head inside his hands as he took a picture of his feet.
That would have been
way cool. But then actually I realized while I was thinking about
erotic,
it that he wears. I'm cool with it. Anyways, but I realized that to take a picture like that, you kind of would need to have someone else hold the camera. So then I don't know if it. Because I have his hand.
He's like his little sister.
Or maybe it's one
like
hand and he's. I don't know. But anyways, so it's really cool. I had tons of fun. They had really interesting startups and stuff going on there.
You know what I think is interesting from that story? It's about if you're being consistent as a brand and you have a thing, whatever that thing is, then you'll find an audience for it if you stick to it.
Yeah. No, there's another one that I followed for years, which is like a symmetric breakfast. This man cooks a breakfast for his partner every day, and he does the same plating and the same things, but mirrored in front. And he would take a picture of it every single day. It was really cool. It's like, it's nice. I don't know what it is, actually. Maybe it's just like this, maybe it's calming to see it all. Maybe you look at it as
I want to tell you my story. It's not a funny, well, it might be a funny story.
Well,
it's not creative. It's not,
God damn it.
It's not marketing related.
Come on.
But this happened today.
Bring it.
And I want to share with the world. This is where you see kind of people stop listening to us forever. So today I was talking at Google this morning.
Okay.
So that was nice.
Sometimes I talk at Google, but it never answers me, and I'm like, why is this shit not working?
No,
and
I went to Google
internet.
And gave a talk.
Oh, sorry, you meant in the office of Google. Okay.
Yeah. So I was there. So as I was dressing, I was like, oh, where's my it was like specific pants I wanted to wear, and I was like, oh fuck, where they are. And then I dressed up with something else. I went out, and as I was going out, I was like, is it possible that I forgot my clothes at the gym, like in last evening? And I was like, yeah. I forgot my clothes at the gym, and I went back there today, and I was like, "Hey, I think I forgot some clothes here." And they were like, "What? Some sportswear?" And I was like, "No, my like pants and shirt." They're like, "How did you go home?"
Naked.
Yeah, and I was like, I got some stairs, but I'm fine. Like I have no shame. And she was looking. I was like, no, I just went with my sportswear.
Yeah, so I thought you immediately went in and were like, "Did you find some clothes?" And they're like, oh, this is the guy. This is the guy who left his shit here.
But apparently they have this thing because a lot of people either leave or forget their shit.
Oh,
there.
you have like
they have a process.
found.
No, it's better than that. They have like a warehouse for this by now.
Amazing.
They have like this whole process of what happens with the clothes after 1 day, 3 days, 1 week. It was like kind of amazing.
That's kind of cool.
And this is a place that doesn't give you towels anymore, right? but they have this.
Because they can't afford it because they need the storage for all the stuff that they're holding in the background.
Yeah. So basically, what I wanted to say is that I gave a talk at Google and I work out. So that's
nice.
That's
nice. I got at least 50% of that.
That's the only thing I want to tell you.
No, that's not that bad. I actually, when I was younger, my friends used to tell me, "Hey, you just go to a central bus station whenever you want to have fun." and you just go to Lost and Found and you start describing just random things.
I'm so happy that for them when they say you go to the local central station thing and have fun with Lost and Found and not like the other worst thing that is in central station.
What do you mean? Masturbation?
No.
I don't know. That stuff happens.
I'm talking about junkies and...
No. They would just turn around and say, you go in and you're like, go to Lost and Found, and you start describing random things. Like, I'm looking for something purple. It's about this big. And they go, well, what is it? And you go, it's hard to describe. But just listen, it's purple. And they'll find you things that match the description, and then you just take it home.
The guy from Lost and Found, he has this thing where he doesn't want to disappoint you, so he goes on Amazon Prime.
And he just buys it. He's like,
it.
This poor kid needs a Discman.
Yeah. So when we were kids, when we were younger, they had this thing at the bus station in Tel Aviv, the central bus station, that at around 11 at night was this pastry place. And they would take pictures with but at 11 o'clock they would kind of do a set out of everything they have, like at this crazy cheap price. And me and my friend had this thing, we would just want to go in and buy it at a cheap price. Now, we were living in Kfar Saba, right? So the entire experience is like gas and car and the whole thing.
Yeah, you had to go out.
Yeah, it's like 45 minutes drive. You actually pay for gas. But the idea that we can get the pastries for like a shekel per pastry was like,
yeah, it's awesome.
Like, that's the funnest thing to do.
No, it's incredible.
Right.
Well, I had the same thing also. I was like thinking, I looked at my wife and I said, all these bakeries and shit that cost tons of money, right before like on Friday towards the end of the day, that's it. You can just get everything for cheap.
Right.
Super, super cool.
Right. So
you know what it is? It's the dumpling stand. They have these like dumpling stands that they open up at the malls.
Yeah.
And then you can get like, each one costs like about $1 per dumpling kind of thing. And then I saw this woman right before they were closing the mall, like on the weekend, and then all of a sudden she just bought out all of it. And because they gave it to them for like
So if you don't mind eating those rotten, dried...
I would eat all of it. I don't mind. Those are awesome.
Hey, this is a safe space. We don't judge here.
Yeah, don't judge.
We talk behind
I'm
your
talking about
back.
pastries and old dumplings.
Okay, so this was a productive week for the both of us.
Yeah, this is really, it's been moving. So I wanted to talk to you about something actually. I have this thing, and it happens often, and I don't know if it happens to you often, where people come up to me and tell me, I want to be a lemonade, or I want to make a dollarshave.com video.
Okay.
And
what do you mean, like in terms of the creatives?
Yeah, they turn around. They're just like, make me a lemonade, or or make me a dollarshave.com creative campaign, or whatever it was. And
what does it mean for them? Like do they want to walk around video? What does it mean?
It's not that. They just want I don't think they know how to express what it is that they want from it. But they turn around and say, dollarshave.com entertains me in a way that I feel very connected, and it works on a lot of people in the world. I want that. And they're actually 100% willing to copy that to the T.
Right.
But obviously, that's the worst thing you could do, because one.
So do they say, I want to do the same video? Let me walk around like
no.
Storage,
they just say when they turn around and they see Lemonade, and they say, okay, Lemonade managed to make a brand and make a successful brand and really do all the branding there is fantastic. So they just turn around and go, make me a lemonade. They're looking for you to turn around and say, okay, copy paste.
Yeah, because basically they saw something they like and they're kind of expecting
time related. They're everything. Okay, so every person you go to says to you, oh, when you go, when's the deadline? And they go, yesterday.
Yeah.
Right. My immediate answer is, oh, we're late. We failed.
Yeah.
Like that's like, what do you want me to say to that? Great, yesterday.
Do you think it's a time issue, or do you think it's a...
No, I think they don't want to spend too much time, too much money. They just say, I want you to make me this. Just make me this.
I think it's deeper. I think it's an emotion. I think they saw something they really connected with, that resonated with them, and they get stuck to the point where they say, this is also what I want. But I think that the interesting thing is, I usually think that companies says, hey, I want to do lemonade, I want to do this, which Lemonade has a fantastic branding, by the way. Huge shout out for Shai and Tamir and the guys there. So they usually, what happens, I think, that people say, hey, I want to do this, I want to copy this. I usually think that those are people that are stuck with their business in general. You're not going to get like a very successful company saying, hey, let's copy this.
Oh, it's not about... I don't necessarily... I think there's a couple things.
This.
But do you have people say that to you?
Yeah, of course, all the time.
So like I find myself in a situation where I'm like, okay, I've literally made presentations to help them understand that it's not a copy-paste situation.
Right.
That you're not going to get a website that looks like Lemonade if you do the process that Lemonade did.
Right.
So like I've done presentations where I
because
explain,
it's out of context for your company.
yeah, it's out of context, but it's also there's a strategy there where they're turning around and saying Lemonade, their concept, their thing was to go a little bit different than all the other companies. To go, if you were thinking security and you were thinking, let's say, blue, they went with pink. If you were thinking all the competitors to them were having images
I think that's if it's a matter of like if you were thinking about insurance, you were thinking gray world,
yeah,
boring, and they were like, let's make it fun, and pink, which is like the opposite, is like happiness.
It's actually in the name. I don't know if it's on purpose, because sometimes you have these things, and it's not on purpose. But lemonade is, there's a famous saying in English where it's if life gives you lemons. Right. So they turned around and said, let's focus on the positive aspect of it and not the negative one. And I think the most crucial thing that they did was when there was an article about how they returned money to someone within 6 seconds.
3 seconds, I think.
3 seconds?
Yeah, something.
Fine, I gave them an extra 3, and I still think it's impressive. But anyways, but the idea is that they did this thing, and I thought that was really impressive. But when you're turning to these companies, you're saying to them, listen, maybe that's not the right path for you. Maybe it's not to right now, especially in the beginning of some of these companies, maybe it's not to stand and look completely different, but to kind of go in to the chain and try to make your way and get people to feel secure with you and understand what you are in the beginning, and then to switch it around. There's a lot of process there where if you're able to make a company and come up with a vision and mission statement that really conveys what you're looking to do, which is not with a lot of these places. I
think most of them just don't have it. That's why I'm saying that most companies say, I want to copy this, and they go to that level, is because they don't have a deep understanding of what their business is. Because But
do you think that that's maybe because of the whole pivoting that we expect startups to do nowadays?
No, I think...
if I'm expecting you, let's say you're a visionary, you turn around and you say, okay, I now understand what I want to be doing. I want to change umbrellas around the world. Okay, I want to make a huge change with the way that people protect themselves from rain. And you come out with that vision and you start moving, and then there's this concept that people are constantly, they want to invest in teams that are able to pivot fast. They want to invest in people who are able to let go of that and do what's going to make money. So at that point, maybe they lose kind of their that backbone that they might have been able to come up with.
I think there's so much things compounding here because, first of all, I think...
Why is it so hard for them to do that? Like, because it doesn't make sense. You made a company. You invested time and hours, and you forgot about your family.
But there's so many people who start companies either for the wrong reasons or with the wrong operation. And sometimes, by the way, your vision kind of catches up with you later because you do something, you do not think about the vision of why you're doing this, but you've just been doing this thing. And later on, when people say, hey, why did you do that? And you kind of, it's like a psychological treatment kind of thing. And you get to your why eventually. And you do shit without knowing your why. And I think a lot of the time when people say, I want to do like this, I want to get something like that, it's basically because they don't have a why. They have it inside. They know what they're doing, what gets them passionate, but they've never done the process of connecting the two. So if you think about Lemonade again as an example, Lemonade, the way their branding represents how the company is structured because they changed the entire model of how the insurance thing work. In general, it's not, they didn't just like do a cool app for it. They actually changed a model that was like around for like hundreds of years, and they actually redid it in a better way. I'm not going to go into how they work, etc.
Yeah, like I was very surprised. Like I know I've seen the brand for a while, and I'm not saying I learned this yesterday, but
the brand is resonating 100% with the why they do what they do, and how they look at this market, and I think that's why it's so powerful, versus a lot of the other and I think that it's makes sense that sometimes like the visionary, the person who built the company, would not know how to express it into like visual branding or messaging. Because, I don't know, maybe they're like a brilliant coder or whatever. Maybe not, the visual branding and messaging is like a marketing thing. You need to have a different set of skills. And he might have built...
But I don't know if that's true. When you're the guy who's pitching to investors and to people, you have to have some sort of a solid story. I don't think it's a developer who doesn't know how to speak and he's like going in front of people.
But I think that's a common mistake. I think sometimes people will go in and be like, oh, the CEO has to speak. Why? Because he's the CEO. But if he's not the best person to tell the story, then he shouldn't.
No, I get that, but I still feel like the CEO has the best understanding of what's going to convert people and help them understand.
No, 100% no. 100%
Why?
no.
He's meeting for meetings and he's pitching
no,
things.
You're talking about a seasoned CEO, somebody who actually built a career as a CEO. You're not like
I'm not talking about some guy who's just considered
No, but
CEO.
most startups around us, like second-time entrepreneurs, first-time entrepreneurs, they don't have that information. They don't have that knowledge, most of them. They're like CEOing shit out of the
Yeah,
back.
but on the other side, I do see it as like when they go to these meetings and they're pitching stuff, they're kind of seeing what flies and what doesn't fly and what sticks and what doesn't stick.
Yeah, most startups' pitches suck.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, huh?
Like no, like if you like, let's be honest. Like it's a very long process to be mature enough to know how to pitch your company and understand your product. This is why people go through so much training and sessions and mentoring and all those things. And pitching or knowing how to storytell your product really well, it has nothing to do with your capability of building the company itself.
No, I get that. I'm saying
It's a whole different thing. And sometimes, the CEO is brilliant, but is not a really good storyteller. Right? And I think it's a whole different thing. And I think most of them just don't have the why. And they don't have the process to say, this is what my brand stands for. Because eventually, think about the Dollar Shave Club thing. It evokes specific emotions that goes with how the brand reacts in general. Right?
Yeah.
Like, this is how the brand behaves. Even when they sponsor other shows, even when they do other commercials, everything they do, it's in their DNA. That video is a part of their DNA. And as you said,
I'm not sure if it was before. I mean, it is definitely now because DollarShave.com is one of those videos that's famous now because everyone kind of got to see it.
But have you ever worked with a young...
That, by the way, that kind of competes with what we spoke about last time, which was the virality thing. If they were really pushing it or not.
No, they were pushing it.
They were pushing it, like, to what level? Not the level that actually achieved.
I don't know if it was... I don't know when, but they were, like, pushing it through Taboola and stuff like that. They were paying for ads, yeah.
That's interesting. Because, like, I know that
They didn't just post something to YouTube and it blew up.
No, of course not. They had to push it in some way, but not... I'm not sure if they pushed it to the level where they got to, and I don't think, like,
I think it was a really good
Like, it's not Gangnam Style level pushing, and it didn't have Gangnam Style level of success, but... At the same time, it did get around. People were really interested in it.
I think they knew who their target audience was really well. And I don't know. You know what? I don't know. Because it did went pretty viral. And I still think...
It's weird because both of us sitting in here with beards, I'm not sure how DollarShave.com is doing.
But the thing is that the vibe of the brand is actually... Seems like it would be a hipster brand, which most of them have beards.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. There's like a little bit of like a weird thing going on there. Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of copies out there. There's actually copies for beard companies that have copied almost one for one for that.
But you know what? But going back to that, it doesn't matter because somebody who was risking a lot of money said yes to that commercial. You know what I mean? So it was in their DNA because you work with young.
It's yes and no again with that also because I don't think I think it cost them about $5,000.
It doesn't matter. Have you ever met with a young company that the CEO is so not sure where to go or he's so focused on like a different kind of action and you easily convince him to do this video? No. Like they would like it's not just like a flaky video, it's like a crazy video to do for a young brand. And I think that most companies who don't have that in the DNA, the CEO would never let you do that. He would be so control freaking everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And by saying yes to it, that's already a thing of the DNA.
That's also something that happens in those meetings when people say, I want that. And you say, you know what? I do my whole process. And my process is like, I research what was the effectiveness of the video. I think the first stage is who are their target audience? How defined is the...
Wait, so this is the process you do. You meet with a company. They said, I want to do a video that looks like this and this. And you say, wait, there's a process for this. Well, this is my process.
Again, I just kind of go into it. But like, right. I've done this before where I had to look at different pieces of content and understand how do you reverse engineer. Okay, so there's a famous book that I love this, and I guess now it's kind of fucked me over in business a little bit, that basically says, give your creative away. It just says, give your creative away. And it was like, and then the paragraph goes into this discussion where it starts to express that you give your creative away because the creative is worth less than the actual process that you did to achieve it. So you can give a creative idea to one person, but because you have the process, you can actually outdo that creative 1,000,000 times over.
Right.
So I turn around and say, okay, let's go through this process. Let's go as far back as we possibly can. What was the defining market they were looking to hit when they came up with this? They were looking to hit X, Y, and Z. Where were they going to put this piece of content? Where was it going to go? YouTube, Facebook. And I've seen a lot of, by the way, the unskippable ads from Geico. I did think about 4 hours of research into how do they create the unskippable ads? What are they doing with their other ads on YouTube? How are they getting that second by second, literally second by second, what am I seeing there? And then you kind of go into what part of the creative is actually resonating with me? And I think that it has to be with someone who has a high level of empathy and really in touch with his own feelings to kind of turn around and go, okay, this makes me laugh. I'm kind of paying more attention to him because he's moving through the frames, which is also, again, I don't know how exact this is, but there's this thing about propaganda. I think it was like a Hitler thing, where he walked back and forth on stage when he talks, just like comedians do it, so that you kind of continuously move your head and give them more focus. So the whole concept of him moving through the video
makes you
engage with him, and you're following him.
Right.
You're running after him in that process.
Right.
So now you're running after him.
You don't get to be bored.
Yeah, you don't get to be bored, and you're running after him. You want to hear more of his content because your brain is
Are we
thinking
back
you're
on
this.
Dollar Shave Club or Hitler?
We're going back for Hitler.
Okay.
No, but that's kind of like the direction. And then again, the creative. No one ever wants to. Oh, well, as you said before, a lot of these companies, they go, "I want the dollarshave.com," and you can go and create that crazy thing. And for them,
And it
as
would
a
not
young
resonate
company,
for that brand.
no, they'll turn around and they'll be like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if I can take that chance. For me, I know it's insane. But I like to go bold. I want you to do the crazy shit. I don't care if you're getting sued. You did something that people paid attention
I
to.
agree.
So like I know it sucks to be sued, but generally speaking,
This
push
was the
the
original name
envelope.
for this podcast.
Yeah, it sucks to be sued. It's just push it, push the envelope, see where it goes. So for this video for a knife shaving, look at Gillette. Gillette doesn't have any videos like this. Old Spice is doing this shit. They're doing crazy videos. But Gillette, all these shaving knives, they're all showed like very clean, how to shave. Oh, look, it turns, it does all this crap. And then they did a very dramatic change.
Right.
People were really into it. So usually when you come back with a creative after that, then people are not really excited to take the chance.
Right.
I'm always excited to take the chance. I always want to see what's happening.
But this is why most. I'm going to say something which is actually kind of mean, but this is why most companies are kind of boring and not successful, because eventually I think
the bigger you are, the more scared you are.
No, I think it's a DNA of being scared, in general. But I think like if you're not willing to go to the extreme as a company, then you're never going to do something that is like above the average. You can build like a really successful company, et cetera, but if you're not willing to do those leap of faith or this leap of creatives or going a bit like more crazier.
Yeah,
now, there's
look at Geico and car insurance, and their ads are insane.
Right.
They're literally to the point insanity of like they started just saying Geico, 15 minutes or more can save you. They do their slogan, and then they go, it's like an elephant in an ostrich store. They'll say something ridiculous, and then they'll make that shot. They'll make that video.
Yeah.
And there's no connection.
No.
There's nothing.
But it's memorable. It's
memorable. So that was the concept that I was following that for a while. I was following the amounts of people who were creating content just to entertain you. If they could entertain you enough, get your attention enough, then you remember it. They can. They just want to get your space in your brain.
Eventually, the game is always like brand and attention. That's it. Like, you have to be recognizable, you have to have attention, and once you have both those, you can sell anything to anyone.
Yeah, but it was interesting to see how far they took it. And I thought it was fantastic that they were succeeding with it. They continued the series of how many videos they did. Like, I think there was 30 videos of that style.
But going back to the Geico thing, going back to the extreme version that you have to go to the company, I think, I go back to the original issue, is that I think that most companies can't really do it because they're not that connected to what their actual values are, and they don't go through the process internally as a company.
Do you know, like, by the way, I'm sure you do, but you know how easy it is to do that? It's like, it's surprisingly easy.
I know, I don't agree with you.
Why?
It's very easy to narrate that process. I think that it's very hard for a founder to go through that process for his own idea, brand, or company.
Well, you're saying it's hard for him to deal with the things that he's going to hear
to
that
understand
are very
it's
different.
and to understand it's about himself. I think it's a very hard process to really get right.
Okay, so I'm saying we did this. Me and my former partner, we did this for some companies. What we did was we went in and we talked to all these different users, and we talked to all kinds of different people, and we talked to people in the industries that they were talking about, and we created a very easy. It just became really easy to look at it and see the answers everyone was saying and see exactly what the things that what resonated with people, what people really felt about the product. And I could understand what you're saying. Maybe for a person who thought he invented something, to see that he invented something else, or the purpose of it is being, or the way it's being, how do you say?
I know what company.
Seen,
I know what company you're talking about, right? I know.
I don't know. I think so. Maybe.
Yeah. We shared a project with them.
Maybe.
Yeah.
No, actually, it was a different one. But that one actually is another.
Well,
thing.
you're not saying this on the video because it's audio, but we're giving each other meaningful looks to see if it's like if we're hitting
Oh, really?
the right mark or not.
I thought you were flirting with me. I didn't understand.
No, that's the footsie thing.
Oh, okay, cool. We are playing footsie on the table.
Yeah.
That's happening. No, but but this was actually a different one. We
Soft kind of marketing advice.
The one that we worked on was way easier. It was way easier. But
the other company, I'm not going to say
the other one, by the way, is making their own definitions of what they think. I don't think they actually talk to users enough.
No, I think they. We're not going to mention the name of the company because what we're saying is not amazing about it. But
I mean, they're moving in the as the industry is moving, but they don't seem to be moving in.
I feel like the core DNA of their founder, the core DNA, and the core DNA of their team is amazing. And I just feel that they got to this loop where they see what other people are doing, and they're chasing that versus doing what they did originally. And what they did originally is still unbeatable. In this market, they're still the fucking leading brand in like a huge way. And it goes to a situation where you don't even understand how the acquisition happens, but they keep growing and growing. And that's actually a good example of what happens when you don't listen to your DNA. Right, the company is still growing with the original product, but everything else they do is kind of messing up on them because that's going away from
because they're looking at the industry and not looking at the actual customer.
They don't. Not even that. You know what? I will even say that when you come to branding, you might want to go deeper into yourself than your customer. I'll explain for a second.
That's interesting because I would say the opposite. I'm really interested to hear that.
So you know what? When we're talking,
because I want to know more about my customer and how they're perceiving what I'm giving them.
Let's look at two different companies for a second. You have one that's a young company and one that's already a successful company.
Okay, cool.
So a young company, I think it has a lot to do with the maturity of the founder, right? To know if they can go all in with like his DNA or not, or her DNA.
Yeah, what's the maturity of the founder mean? Because in my opinion, I would say the same sentence. I would say it has to do more with the founder and how in touch he is with the market he's looking to deal with.
Think about Apple for a second. Think about every company. We say this, I think, in the other episode, is that every company, when you kind of peel all their kind of layers, you get the founder's DNA. Apple is still...
No, I get that.
Right. So I feel that it's kind of the same way in terms of how you brand your company. Amazon is the same with Jeff Bezos. Apple was the same with Steve Jobs. Facebook is the same with Mark Zuckerberg. It's the same personality scaled up as a company.
Okay.
And when you go all in and being the most extreme version of yourself, you're going to win. This is what happens with Gary Vaynerchuk. This is why he's doing so well, because he's like the most extreme version of himself all the time, very loudly, and it resonates with people because it's authentic. Right? The problem people have with Apple right now, it doesn't feel authentic anymore. And this
it's not authentic.
Apple now.
No, what you said about the Gary thing, because it's actually interesting. In comparison to other things we talked about, when we were talking about the branding and the narrative being authentic and being human and showing more characteristics, it's not. It's just simpler for people to understand. Because you said he threw it to extreme, which he does. Gary Vee takes what he's saying and makes it into all that he's saying.
But that's him. His aggressiveness, how he talks.
I doubt that in the end of the day, when he's sitting with his girlfriend, or I don't know what
wife,
his wife, he has a wife, he has kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God, really?
He's a family man.
Right?
I like Gary. Yeah, he's a good person.
Oh, cool. I assumed that he had like 30 women that are just following him. I don't know. Maybe I'm watching too many of these other people like that.
No, you're confusing this with
pornography.
With
pornography. With pimps.
You opened the wrong tab.
Damn it! I'm always researching the wrong thing.
YouTube. It's you at the beginning, man. It's you.
It's just a lot of.
Anyway, but he's very authentic. He's very aggressive about it. But that's the core person that he is, and I believe that he does. I believe that if you ask him to do a business deal with you, he will have the same aggressive, all-in approach. That's what I think. Might be wrong, but that's what I think.
I feel like what we're doing is when people turn around and they brand themselves, they have to make themselves more solidified as what they're trying to brand.
Yeah.
Right? So that means that's not really it. I'm a person, I have layers,
no,
man.
but that's the maturity. The maturity is understanding the characteristics that work and doesn't work. What's interesting, what's not. That's what I would call maturity.
But he becomes
self-awareness and maturity.
But he becomes a character, a TV show character.
But every brand becomes a character.
No, I get that. I get that Gary Vee is a brand and he needs to like really push it. But
yeah, but young companies, I think they need more help with kind of or first time CEOs, founders. They need more time to mature up and understand what their behavior DNA actually means for the brand of what they're building. I think companies and then you might want to also focus more on what the users are thinking about you because it kind of reflects on you. I think companies that are already doing really, really well, right? Companies without doing the entire branding process. A lot of them, by the way, a lot of the really good companies that were never.
Never did any of this stuff.
And I think
I'm very surprised when I have that. When I meet a big company and they don't.
So I'm not, because I feel like that's the DNA of the founder. He pushed all the way through that. He went with his intuition and it was right. The moment most of these companies start having trouble is once somebody comes up to the CEO and say, "You're out of date. You need to do this and this and this and this." And what happened is that if the CEO is not aligned with that decision in his core, then the whole process is going to be really tweaked. It's going to be really bad. And the outcome of the branding would be unnatural to what the brand really stands for or what the company really
Here's an
stands
interesting thing, because I actually said this to someone today, and it was about something else that had to do with company culture. Right? Not company brand, whatever. The company culture, the way people work, the way they talk to each other, the way they feel about the company inside the company. And they said the same thing. They said the company culture is defined by the founders.
It is. 100%.
And I said, at one point, when a company gets to a size that's really big, you can't expect these guys to be...
It's always the DNA.
So, no, what I wanted to do was, as I said, maybe it makes sense to sever the fact that to sever the head, to cut off the top, let them be whatever they are. But now that you have such a big amount of people, take whatever you learned from their culture, create rules and systems and things and all kinds of platforms for people to be able to express themselves in that culture, and stop being defined on these people, because these people will change.
It's not going to work.
Won't work?
First of all, I think
no,
it's not like
I'm talking about company structure and how do you do it?
Because that's what brings everything together. You have like the specific DNA, the way the entire process.
But the company
goes.
In the beginning, when you have a founder, he's walking around, he's saying hello, he's talking to people, he's motivating, he's doing stuff.
But it doesn't
matter. They
matter.
don't do that anymore.
No, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's kind of what you created. Every small rule, everything of the infrastructure was made by that DNA, and it grows as that DNA, and that's it. And you don't go in and you kind of say, hey, you know what, let's separate it. Like, we have a successful company, let's separate that part from this part and let this be whatever it is, because the company loses sync. There's a reason why this company is successful in doing what it does and why the process is what it is.
Everyone crashes and burns at one point. Nothing goes up without fall. These founders will fuck up or they'll lose their stuff. I have given perspectives.
Listen, 100%.
The company can't necessarily take those types of impacts.
First of all, it's 100%. Second of all, it depends on how strong the DNA and how eventually this DNA turned out to be principles, processes, etc.
I'm seeing it as like a kid. You raise your kid with all these different cultural things that you add to them. But at one point, you set them out into the world, and they kind of like evolve based on your knowledge, and they have things that they revamp and they think about and stuff like that.
But eventually, you can almost, psychological wise, you can almost track everything back to how your parents raised you. Even again, going back to the Steve Jobs.
I blame my parents for everything.
Perfect.
Those assholes. No, I'm just kidding.
No, but even going back to the Steve Jobs example, because I think he has the most famous biography, and every time they pull out some shitty quote like, his father taught him to build a fence, and he built a fence from the two sides. He said, but nobody sees it. And his dad said something like, even if nobody sees it, it has to be the most beautiful thing in the world. And going forward a few years, Steve Jobs is building this computer, and he thinks that chips inside the computer has to look amazing. And Apple really designs the way the computer looks from the inside, not just in terms of industrial, like what needs to happen inside for it to work. They actually think about the aesthetics of how the computer looks from the inside, which you would never going to see. Well, hopefully you're never going to see, but they actually think about it from the inside.
Yeah, they make it quite hard to see it, if you know. It's really hard to break these computers up.
So I think eventually the branding is about, really good branding in general is about aligning your DNA with what you do. And you do it consistently together, and that's your best branding, because it's the most authentic branding that you can have. Right. Cool. So I think when you talk about companies want to copy from somebody else, some emotion that they have resonates with the copy or the creative that they've seen, as you said. But instead of going deeper and saying, wait, what's that emotion that I feel that resonates with me and my brand maybe, and going, as you said, is into the process of like, wait, let's understand what's going on behind this. I want to do this too. What's your motive?
Yeah.
And then, it's like
it's very much a therapy session, huh?
It is a therapy
It's
session.
always a therapy session with these things.
It's like, for me, I always give the
Like
example.
looking at a relationship and going, I want that, but
Yeah.
you need to understand what that is that you
Right.
want and
Right.
how are you going to achieve it with me.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. It's exactly the same thing. That's what I think.
Cool. Well, I think this was, awesome podcast.
So if you're doing a rebranding thing, or if you're going to your own branding, so we said, first, I would say the process would be, well, how would you go about the process again? Like
What, the
summarize
process of rebranding
or doing the branding? Like how
I think
the creative, not the rebranding.
So when you're
sorry,
when you're looking at the branding, the process for me is a lot about the emotions and searching. And I think you have to have a meeting with someone who's sitting down. You have to have several meetings. It's always going to be like 3 or 4 meetings where you're just beating out the emotions from them. You have all those techniques of the 5 times why, which is like that Toyota thing, and all these other techniques to try to pinpoint and really grasp what it is that you want to have it. And then a lot of the design aspects of, let's say, Lemonade, for example. That's a really good designer. It's a lot about turning around and making decisions that are very in tune with the types of people who are going to see things. What is it going to make them feel? What is it wanting to go? And that feelings and stuff are defined from those meetings that you had. When it comes down to creative and you're creating, you're really just trying to understand where they came from to get to that idea. So you just got to try to redefine the brief for yourself and then go throughout the process. And then somewhere there, pivot on the top, right? Where when you're getting to the point where you're about to get to the creative, that could be their creative, pivot to a different direction and find yourself in a new creative that you've created with the same process. And yeah, I think that it will hopefully help you achieve great creative if you're copying creative again. Think for yourself, people. Think for yourself.
Think different. I want to think different.
Sponsored by...
Okay.
All right.
Good. I hope you guys enjoyed this because I think the creative process is kind of mystical for a lot of people. So
Yeah.
I think it was a really good breakdown. And I think it was like more analytical on how to look at it.
I think we should sell bottles of liquid creative.
Liquid.
Because it's mystical. I think we could do that.
I was at a wedding when they had those bottle ones. Anyway, so again, I want to say thank you for Rise for hosting the podcast and making us feel at home. And next time, I'm going to use one of the guitars here, and we're going to record a
true.
song, a marketing song.
I thought that would be awesome. That'd be the new intro.
Like an original one.
At least that episode's intro.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning in.
If you liked it, share it with a friend. And by the way, we've gotten a lot of comments from you guys, which is really awesome. Keep sending them. I mean, we want to hear more. If you have questions, thoughts, companies you want to discuss. If you just want to be anonymous and say horrible things that are going on in your company and have us rant on that, go for it. Let us know.
By the way, I did this thing yesterday when I went onto the stories thing. I used a new feature.
The question, asking questions.
So I'm not going to name names, but...
Can you actually see who writes it? Because I understand you can't.
I'll show you later. No, you
okay,
can.
Cool.
So I'm not going to name names. You know who you are, but saying the word design is not a question. Like there's nothing I can do with the word design. When I say, what do you want me to answer? You say design. It's not me. But Sagi Schreiber can answer that, and he has an amazing podcast of his own. And he's like an amazing designer.
We're cross-referencing podcasts here. So.
Yeah, this is like the Avengers version of podcasts.
Nice.
Anyway,
it's going to grow out to a huge map.
So wait, because we're a very young podcast just starting out, the most important thing for me in terms of growth hacking this, if you can go into the iTunes podcast page and review the podcast, because
snap.
Yeah, that will be so helpful for us. Also, if you want to rate it, if you want to rate 5 stars, you go ahead.
Yeah, you go ahead. If you're a 1 star, we're coming for you.
Yeah.
Okay? We're coming for you.
Yeah, we have your IP address now.
We know everything, and we're coming for you. We're just saying, but this is all with love, obviously.
But this is all a friendly podcast.
It's all with love.
Okay, so thank you so much for joining us. Hope you have a great day, night. I don't know when you listen to this. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.